The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. The Center for Autism and Related Disorders advises working with a board-certified behavior analyst who has experience with autism before starting any intensive behavioral intervention. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod and we are webcasting to you live from the Warner Center in Woodland Hills, California. This is the new home here in the Warner Center for the Center for Autism and Related Disorders headquarters. It's also the new home for Autism Live. In fact, we're coming to you from our new studio on the 18th floor of Tower 1 in the Warner Center. Thrilled to be here with you on this Thursday morning, and lots that we're going to be covering over the next 2 hours. We will be with you live during that time, and we'll be talking about autism from a 360-degree perspective. We want to be there for you because we know that together we can get through this. So I always say we hold hands, right? Si se puede, we can do this. But this entire show is meant to be interactive. We want you to participate with us. We are only as good as what you tell us you need, right? Because I like to say I gave up mind reading to be an autism mom. So don't make me guess. Lots of different ways to participate with us. Kelby is going to show you some of the different ways that you can participate, while I will remind you that our homepage is autism-live.com. When you go there, there are so many things to do, but I most especially hope that you will sign up for our email list. And when you do that, that will make it possible for you to have access to our monthly newsletter and our weekly viewer guide, which gives you information about things that are coming up and who might be on the show that week. Sometimes things change, as in life, right? But that also makes you privy to what's happening behind the scenes. So I hope that you'll have an opportunity to do that. You can also follow us on Facebook. You can tweet with us. We are on Instagram. We are newly on Periscope and are going to be bringing you some live feeds on Periscope. So that'll be very cool. All of that is in the mix. But I want to remind you that on that homepage, if you want to watch the live show, you can click on the triangle that's on the computer screen. That will show you either the live show or the most recently recorded live show. To the side of all that is something that we call the live feature. If you put your cursor in the box that says your question, you start typing, hit enter. You have the opportunity to interact with me here, and more importantly, you have the opportunity to interact with our guests, some of whom are world-renowned experts. So it's free, it's anonymous. We don't ask for a username, a password, a credit card, none of that, right? It's just instant gratification. When we're answering your question, we don't always get to everybody's question. We try as much as we can, but we hope that you will participate with us. And it does help when you're writing in if you give us even some semblance of where you are in the world. If you are close to a major city, if you tell us that, that helps us to know what resources you might be close to. Because a lot of times you guys write in and say, hey, where can I find an ABA provider? Where do I find information about this? And knowing where you are in the world helps us to be more effective, and we want to be effective. Okay. We like to start out the show first by reminding you that we do have experts on the show. I am not one of them. I'm a parent, and my son, who is this growing weed of a young man, I swear he grew 1.5 inches in the last week. He is now 12, not even 12 and a half yet, but he's taller than I am, and it's freaking me out. He was diagnosed with autism at the age of 2.5, and what a journey it has been. Oof, and I'll cry through the whole show for you. But I'm incredibly grateful for all of the opportunities that we have had, all of the help that we have had along the way. if we had just had to rely on what I knew about autism, we would have been up a certain creek without a paddle, right? But we got good information, a lot of it from other parents along the way, that led us to come to the Center for Autism and Related Disorders, where, you know, we found nothing short of a miracle, and incredibly grateful. But again, I'm not an expert. I'm just somebody who feels very passionately about our personal experience. And I feel like we got incredibly lucky, and I want to help you to get as lucky as you can possibly get. So that's what my role is here. And usually I have an opinion, which sometimes comes across as being very adamant, which I'm going to try not to apologize for. But I want to remind you, not an expert, just a mom with an opinion, and a mom who cares deeply about how you get through this journey, because I am still going through it, and I remember what those early days are. And it doesn't matter to me whether you are a parent, a practitioner, a teacher, an individual who's on the spectrum. We are all part of this beautiful community. And we all, at some point, want the same thing, which is to get to the progress that all of the members of our community are entitled to. So that's why I'm here, but don't confuse me with the experts. Now, the other thing not to confuse is that we start out every morning with something that we fondly refer to as the jargon of the day. This is when we take on one word, one phrase, one acronym. We try to make sense of what these crazy terms mean. And Kelby, of course, I don't know why, my iPad is it's struggling on two legs. So you're probably going to have to full screen it when we get, especially to this first definition. I wish I'd brought my glasses because it's a mouthful. But our jargon term for today is Least Restrictive Environment, LRE. We've been talking about this a lot, and it occurred to me that we hadn't done the actual definition for it, and maybe we hadn't done it because it's long and gnarly. But there's no way I'm going to be able to read that. Okay, least restrictive environment, the requirement in federal law that students with disabilities receive their education to the maximum extent appropriate with non-disabled peers, and that special education students are not removed from regular classes unless, even with supplemental aids and services, education in regular classes cannot be achieved satisfactorily. And then you can see where that quote has come from on the bottom there. Okay, it's a mouthful, right? But you know what? I got to be honest with you. If you have a school-age child, this is something that you need to have access to, this definition, because it's where things start to get a little bit slippery. So let's journey now to what our working definition is, where I pared it down a lot more. Inclusion whenever possible. All right. So when we have here in the United States, if a child goes to school, according to IDEA, which is the law that we tend to live by, although right now, we covered this story last week in the state of Georgia, there is a test case that is being done against Georgia schools arguing that students who were taken out of a classroom of neurotypical peers, instead of fighting it through least restrictive environment with IDEA, which has had a difficult time winning in courts, they are fighting it through the Americans with Disabilities Act, which is very interesting. And it promises to be a landmark case. Whatever happens in Georgia, we're going to be letting you know, because it's likely to have an impact on all of us in other states. Very fascinating. But up till now, when we have gone in and argued in IEPs and talked about least restrictive environment, we've been talking about IDEA. And in IDEA, it says that all children in the United States have a right to a free, appropriate public education in the least restrictive environment, in which offers them a floor of opportunity in which to access the curriculum. Okay, mouthful, right? And a little overwhelming. So, I, over the years, have taken this piecemeal. And the first part of it, that free, appropriate public education, we've talked about extensively. Of course, the most important word in that sentence is appropriate. because that leaves a lot of wiggle room. What is appropriate to you may seem inappropriate to somebody else. So we need to have discussions about what appropriate is. And when you are arguing with a school district, that is the word that you want to argue using. It is not incumbent upon schools to provide what is best, right? And as parents and as teachers and as administrators, we need to understand that that is not the parameter that we're looking for. Unfortunately, we are not looking for what's best, we're looking for what's appropriate. But you certainly can argue that in order to be appropriate, it has to be effective. This is the argument that I have always taken into an IEP. Is it effective? Is it effective? You're offering me this, is it effective? How do we know if it's effective? Do you have any data on that? It's a really effective way to argue appropriate. But then as we move to the next set of criteria, free appropriate public education in the least restrictive environment, we need to look at things through a new lens too. What is a least restrictive environment? And you can see clearly from the definition that we gave you that comes from IDEA that whenever possible, a student is supposed to be included with their non-disabled peers. So where the wiggle room, and it says in it again, when appropriate. And when you can, except for when you cannot meet the educational goals satisfactorily. So, we want to make sure that being in a classroom with neurotypical peers is something that does not prevent our student from learning and being able to access the curriculum. We also have to make sure that our student being in the classroom doesn't prevent others from being able to access that curriculum, because everybody has the right to have a floor of opportunity in which to access the curriculum. I don't know about you, but if somebody was sitting next to my son and they were hitting him, that greatly has the ability to prevent my child from having the floor of opportunity in which to access the curriculum, right? So we need to be clear on what behaviors a student needs to be able to do to be able to access the curriculum and to prevent them from making it impossible for somebody else to access the curriculum. We talked extensively on Tuesday about how to deal with those challenging behaviors in the classroom so that that doesn't happen, right? If your son or daughter is in a classroom and they are engaging in behavior that is disruptive to the classroom, you will see that very quickly they will tell you that you have to be in a more restrictive environment. That's why it's so important, if you are getting a note home that your child engaged in behavior that in any way looks like they're not able to learn in that environment or preventing somebody else to, you ask for a functional behavior assessment, you get a behavior intervention plan going, and you change the behavior, so that we don't take the individual out of the classroom if we don't have to. Least restrictive environment is something very important that we all need to be aware of. Schools need to get better at dealing with the challenging behavior so that there can be more inclusion. There's two sides to this coin, and both of them are important. It is important for our kids with autism to be in those classrooms with their neurotypical peers so that they have the most opportunity to learn how to socialize with neurotypical peers. That's important. That's what the rest of their life is going to be. If we segregate them and put them in another room, we can't do that their whole lives, nor do we want to. That's like 1938 thinking, right? It's not appropriate. Unless there's a safety issue or somebody cannot be prevented from disrupting so that the education can happen. And that's something to be considered. But if we use what we learned the other day about dealing with challenging behaviors, in most cases that won't be happening. But the other side of it is how important it is for the neurotypical kids in the classroom to be with kids with differences, and to understand that that's all that it is differences. If we are ever going to get to the place where we have acceptance for individuals who are on the autism spectrum, it is only going to be because we have trained our youth to be able to be accepting and inclusive. If we segregate at kindergarten and we segregate at first grade, we are teaching them that these things are completely different and need to be separate. We have to lay the groundwork for acceptance, and we do that through inclusion. And people who do it well will tell you it is beneficial for everyone. So least restrictive environment, it's your new jargon to put in your toolkit and to use when you need to make sure that your child is in an appropriate setting at school. It's our jargon of the day. Okay, moving on. We always have a question of the day. Our question today, this might be a hot topic. We'll see. We want to know for you, what does inclusion mean to you? Because once we start talking, if we get to, all right, it's important to have inclusion, then what does inclusion look like? And I think it means different things to different people. I have shared before the cartoon that I love when we talk about the difference between equality and justice, right? That so often we find ourselves saying, well, we want equality. We want equality. And I think that equality is something that's, a wonderful thing to strive for, but just not in all circumstances. And there's a great cartoon online that it shows 3 boys standing at a track meet with a curtain in front of them. And one boy is tall enough that he can see, he's like, he can, the bar with the curtain is about this high and he can see over it and he can see exactly what's happening at the track meet. And the next boy is a little bit shorter than that boy. And so it's like right here. So it's obstructing his view by like half, but he can see half of what's happening and he can be up on his tiptoes, but he's having to work hard to see it, right? And then the third young man who's standing there is significantly shorter and he can stand on his tiptoes and he still can't see above the bar. So he has no idea what is happening on the field. Well, that's what equality looks like. They're all standing on the ground, the bar is there, and some of them can see. That's what's equal, right? Then they show you what justice is. And in justice, the tallest boy is standing on the ground and he can see over the bar. There is a bit of a step stool and the boy who's a little bit shorter can see now because he's standing on it and he can see over the bar and he's not having his view obstructed. And the shortest boy is standing there and he is on a higher step stool, which brings him up to the level of the other 2 boys so that he has the same view. Yeah, he got a step stool, but that's justice. Now, all of them have the same opportunity. For me, that's what inclusion is. It means some kids are going to get more of an opportunity. They're going to get a second chance that the other kids don't get. I know sometimes, because my son is included, and sometimes I get pushback from the other parents. Well, that's not fair. Your child got another chance to answer that question. Yeah, I know. And it's not fair that he didn't get to do the things that your child got to do at 3. And there we are, right? It's justice. But that's my view of inclusion. I'd love to hear from you guys about what your view of inclusion is. We look forward to hearing from you on Facebook. Now, we always have a topic of the week. And as if you couldn't guess already, our topic this week, because it's officially back to school for everyone this week, our topic is autism in the classroom. There are people who are still in denial that autism is in the classroom. It's there to stay for the foreseeable future. And I know as a former teacher that there certainly wasn't years ago. There's more now training for teachers to be able to learn, how do I deal with that? That is not a skill set that teachers are born with going, oh, I know how to deal with autism, any more than parents are born with the knowledge of how to do that. It's so important that we not have an expectation on our teachers that they just automatically get it. And unfortunately, sometimes teachers come across that way and say, oh, well, I'll just cope because it's just like all other kids. No, it's not. There's a toolkit. And we want to be able to give teachers toolkits whenever possible. It's always this time of year that I just went with my son's teachers the other day and said, hey, there's this thing called IBT. It's Institute for Behavioral Training. Take a look at it. Here's the website. I would appreciate it if you look at it and see if there's something that you're curious about, something that you would like to know more about. I would like to gift that training to you. Now, the trainings are like between $7.50 and I think the most expensive one is $22. And I think that $22 one is about learning how to protect themselves and de-escalate behaviors if a child gets violent, right? I think that's worth $22. I'll be honest with you. And it's like a 3-hour-long video. So I seriously want to encourage everybody who's watching who's a parent, ask your teachers, is there a video here that you would like to learn from? And we'll be happy to gift it to you. Worthwhile, money well spent, better than getting them a box of chocolates, right? It's the gift that keeps on giving. Okay, so autism in the classroom, it's what we're talking about. We've got a very special guest that's going to be here with us in a little while. I have no idea what the chalkboard says because I have nothing here in front of me, but I know for a fact that Joanne Lara is coming. There's lots that she's going to be talking with us about. She just came back from China. And so, of course, we're going to ask her about what happened in China. We're going to be talking with her about her documentary, which is going to be shown in the Golden Door Festival. It's happening in just a couple of weeks. And she's got a lot of exciting things going on. And a lot of times when Joanne is here, we don't have enough time. I've left time today. We're going to catch up with Joanne and find out about all the interesting things that she's doing. Joanne is the person who was the genius behind Temple Grandin and Friends and Autism Works Now. She is making it her mission to help those transitioning young people that are going from being teenagers to adults, to help them to have the skills that they need to have and have the opportunity to work. So you're going to want to hear more about that from Joanne. We're going to take a break, and I have no idea what else is on the schedule. Autism news, and then I have no autism in the classroom. I think that's what's on there. So I'm going to get some glasses. I'm going to see what's up with my iPad, and we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back with Joanne Lara. Stick with us.
What would you do if your child was hurting?
If your family's future was uncertain.
If help seemed out of reach.
Have you been given no hope?
TACA means I am not alone in this.
This is the reality for families affected by autism. And today, the number of children with autism is growing more rapidly than ever. TACA unites these families and ensures that they do not have to fight this battle alone.
Our oldest son, Jared, who has autism, when we first took him to the doctor to get the diagnosis, it's so sad because they offer you nothing. There's no help, there's no hope.
One of the things that you learn with autism is being very grateful for even the small milestones. When you first get the diagnosis, you go through all the range of emotions. This can't be happening. Why is this happening? You have to get to a point where it's the emotion that has to be leading is, what can I do? The first thing that struck me was walking to a room and seeing, oh my gosh, we're not alone. And there is this very strong community that's already set. And something I still today associate with TACA the most is hope. To me, that's what TACA means. TACA means hope.
It's like you've got all these dreams and goals of what your son's going to do, and you get your diagnosis and you're sent home. And that's it. There's no plan of action. There's no, here's autism, here's what we're going to do to make your life better and help him. It's strictly go home and try to process it and go on the internet. It was devastating, and you just, you go through this 3-week of depression, and then you snap out of it. You have to. And then you start making phone calls and trying to figure out what is autism and what are we going to do. And then we found TACA, and it was life-changing.
Autism, there really is no definitive answer. It is trying to find the resources that are out there that can assist you to help your child so that, you just don't feel so helpless at those particular moments.
There was direction, and there was hope, and there was a little ray of sunshine that he's going to be okay, and we're going to be okay. I always look back and think we would never be where we are. Carson wouldn't be where he is at without TACA.
So 13 years ago, my son was diagnosed with autism, and that put our whole family into a tailspin. There were so many different ideas and things that were not proven. Nobody knew what guidance to give us. We had no direction. And then we found TACA. They helped give us a path to follow, help give our son a better future and make him healthy and put him back onto the road of recovery. When your son's first diagnosed, the first thing you hope for is, gosh, I just want my son to speak. I just want to be able to communicate with him in some way. Then you want a little more. You want him to go to a regular school. Then you want him to potentially have a real life and go to college. So you're always hoping for the future of your child. My son is a happy, healthy, vibrant young boy that's going to turn 15 really soon, and we couldn't be more pleased, and without TACA, I don't think we'd be in the place that we are today. We believe the future is not defined for many affected by autism. There is hope and direction for these kids and their families. TACA is dedicated to providing community, support, education, and hope to families affected by autism.
At TACA,
At TACA,
At TACA,
We are families with autism helping.
helping.
helping families.
helping families with autism.
Hi, my name is Matt. I am 19 years old, and I was diagnosed with autism when I was 6 years old. Autism is one of the fastest growing developmental disabilities in the United States, but I am living proof that with the right treatment, hope is possible. My future is not limited. Today, I am attending Fullerton Community College, and I run for the cross-country team for fun with my friends. It makes me feel proud when I think about my progress. Chances are you know someone affected by autism. Show them they are not alone, and help others get on the road to recovery. Contribute to Talk About Curing Autism today.
Another parent wants to know, how do I find out that one thing that my kid is really good at?
Now, when they get older, they're going to kind of divide into two groups. You're going to have the kids that become verbal, and then you're going to have the kids that are nonverbal, got many more problems. Maybe they still have epilepsy or some other problem. And they kind of need different services. And the ones that get verbal, what we need to be doing with them is develop the area of strength. And that area of strength often will show up around 3rd or 4th grade, sometimes earlier, but my ability in art showed up when I was in 3rd and 4th grade, and it was always encouraged. And I was encouraged to do lots of different kinds of art. Otherwise, it would have just been endless horse heads. You know, Mother would say to me, why don't you draw a picture of a beach or something else? You want to broaden it out. If the kid's fixated on trains, let's teach reading with trains, math with trains. Tap into that fixation, but develop the area of strength. Some kids it's going to be art. Other kids it's going to be mathematics. So you got a 3rd grader who's smart in math, and he wants a 6th grade math book. Give him the 6th grade math book. Don't bore him with the baby stuff. But that kid's going to have trouble with reading, because the common thing is the uneven skills. And then you have the kids that are the history buffs, and these kids are often really good at writing skills. You tend to have uneven skills, but tap into their fixations and use those to motivate, but broaden. If he likes trains, just watching them, well, we're going to take that interest in trains to do some math with it, or maybe read about the history of the railroad. You know, tap into that motivation. One of the things I really want to talk about is we got to stretch these kids. I'm not talking about physically stretching them, mentally stretching them to do new things. I'm seeing too many kids that haven't learned how to shop, how to order food at McDonald's. So you start out, let's say it's ordering food at McDonald's or at Burger King. So you take them up there and they watch you order it. And then eventually you go in when the store's not busy, and they have to go up and order it while you're sitting at the table watching, and then you coach them. And then eventually they can go in the restaurant themselves. I can remember I was scared to go to the lumber yard alone and buy lumber. And Mother made me go. And she knew I could do it. I had bought lumber with her many times. But there's a tendency to want to have somebody else there when they do it, and they've got to learn how to do things alone. And you gradually have got to kind of push it. You've got to stretch them. And I'm seeing too many kids not learning basic skills. Saw a 19-year-old honors student that actually knows how to drive that had never shopped in the grocery store all by herself. That is just ridiculous. You know, you've got to stretch them. You push too hard, there can be panic. And the other thing is no surprises. No surprises. I knew all about the ranch long before I went there. I'd talked to Ann. But if you don't stretch these kids, they don't grow.
Welcome back to Autism Live. We're so excited because we have a very special guest with us. We have Joanne Lara, and for once, I've left time because Joanne does so many different things that there are so many different things to talk about, and we never have enough time, and we still aren't going to have enough time. What am I saying? But I've left more time than normal. So first of all, welcome back to Autism Live.
Thank you, Shannon. Thank you for having
Welcome
me
back to the
again.
United States, and we're going to talk about that in a little while because you just have been on the trip of a lifetime. China, and amazing, and so we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. But I want to first start to talk about something that's happening this weekend. Right. You have a documentary film called Generation A. Kelby's got a picture of it there that's up on the screen, and it's going to be playing in 2 different film festivals, but one of them is happening this weekend that I didn't even know about this one. So tell us what's happening this weekend.
Okay, so this weekend is Awareness Film Festival, and it's in Los Angeles. It's down at the LA Live at the Regal Theater, which is where we did what you were speaking about, the Temple Grandin and Friends at Club Nokia. So it's a big theater complex, and that's a wonderful theater that they have there. It's at the LA Live. It's on Olympic Boulevard. I believe that Kelby also has the address there.
It's 1000 West Olympic Boulevard in Los Angeles.
Okay.
There we go.
1000, that's right. So it's right off of the Harbor Freeway.
It's right there in the middle
accessible.
Of things. Yeah.
And we're Sunday, which is a good day because we don't have to, Los Angeles don't have to fight the traffic.
Yeah, and at 5 p.m.
5 p.m. And all the kids from the documentary, not all of them, but almost all of them, will be part of the Q&A afterwards. We have a 45-minute Q&A.
Okay, so what is, it's a documentary, but what is the film about?
It's about the arts and how the arts help our kids to be the very best that they can be.
Yes, and this is something that you know a great deal about. This is something that an area that you've been working in for multiple decades with Autism Movement Therapy, and you have, you guys just performed at the Special Olympics here in Los Angeles.
Yes, that was a treat.
I'll bet.
And those kids and the families were over the moon.
Yeah.
It was an amazing event for them, and so special for them to be there and be invited to be there.
But you perform at a lot of different things with these kids and give them an opportunity to express themselves, to be in their bodies, to move their bodies, and to have that voice, Joanne, which is really a wonderful thing. So this documentary, so how long is it on Friday? It's from 5, how long does the film
The doc
take?
itself is about 58 minutes, so we say it's an hour.
Right.
And it goes like that. And I'm the producer, and I've seen it, as you can imagine, thousands of times. And I still, when I screen it for my certification workshops, because it's part of the certification workshop, we screen the doc, I screen the doc. And I'm still like mesmerized by these kids and the way that they express themselves through the arts, the way that they show us who they are through the arts. Many of our kids don't have language or limited language, and the arts give them that vehicle, if you will, to let us know who they are.
Yes.
Through either their paintings, their theater, their improv, their dance, music. You don't need language to dance.
Yeah.
You don't need language to listen to music or to play an instrument. And many of I was in China, I have to tell you, an experience in China by a gal who was probably about 21, 22. We met her first at the art exhibit because they had a lovely art exhibit. All of our, Deborah Husseini put together an art show, and it was flown over, and it was part of the psych conference where we were presenting as well in Beijing. It was a big deal for us to be there.
Yeah.
It was a big deal for us to be there because that meant for the first time in China, they were actually acknowledging the arts as being a vital tool.
Right.
In psych, I mean, we're still fighting that battle here.
Right.
So we were thrilled, and then Deborah Husseini in the Art of Autism sent over, I think it was about 25 pieces from individuals, artists from all over the world. It was beautiful. And there sat at one table this gal, she had these little glasses on, and she was drawing. And she drew caricatures of anyone who wanted her to do that. And the caricature captured the essence, almost in a psychic way, of what your work was and who you were. And so she ended up having a gift of singing with very limited communication. I don't think I'd even heard her speak more than 2 words, And at a dinner, well, it was a lunch, when we had gone to the Great Wall, and it was Elaine Hall, and it was Ruth, and it was Chung Hong who invited us. There was a dinner. There must have been, it was 20 people there. She said she wanted to sing, and she sang 2 songs. She had the music on her. They were very contemporary pop songs on her phone, and she sang them. We were like, wow, and beautifully. So I mean, there is. We didn't know, because music's processed in a different circuit of the brain. And so many of our kids, we know that to be true, have limited communication skills, but they can sing. And the dance is what I do is, you know, the movement and music together, and it's all about connecting visual processing, audio processing, gross motor for what we call whole brain thinking approach.
Yes.
And that way the kids are able to, what happens is the brain begins to realign itself through the arts.
Yeah. It's really amazing. I mean, you know, the arts are a big deal to me, and it makes sense with our kids. And I've seen what you do, and it's amazing. So this is a wonderful opportunity.
But I'm only a little piece of this. I mean, Autism Movement Therapy is part of the opening of the doc, and we show the kids dancing, and I talk a little bit about what criteria autism is. Yeah. But then we move into Udi Bennett and Exceptional Minds, and we have Noah Schneider, and he will be there. Noah will be there. Danny Bowman. Danny Bowman is one of our, it's called Portraits of Autism in the Arts. Yes. So it's portraits. Danny Bowman is a portrait, Noah is a portrait, Alex Plank is a portrait, Shoshana Nelson.
And they're all going to be there on Sunday at this event answering questions.
Tyler Wadeen.
Yes.
Tyler Wadeen is one of our good friends who is 17 years old. He has CP and autism. Wow. And he rides, and it's been through hippotherapy since he was 5 that we brought him. Were able to bring him out of his shell and he loves horses.
Wow.
And he loves being around the horses, and he loves grooming the horses.
Amazing.
Which is also segues into our workability program, you know, the Autism Works Now, because we will be going to Spirit Ranch. Yes. And you know Eva Lund.
Yes, of course.
And Eva has agreed to be one of our field trips. We do 1 field trip a month for our readiness work program. That starts in October, and we'll talk more about it.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about
Eva has agreed to let us be, she's going to be one of our field trips, because those are perfect jobs for our kids.
Absolutely. But I want to talk, so again, about this. It's happening on Sunday, 5 p.m. at the LA Live Regal Theater. The name of the film is Generation A, Portraits of Autism and the Arts. Yes. And again, a lot of the people who are featured in the film, a lot of the young people who are on the autism spectrum will be there. Yes. And they are doing the Q&A. You will also be there, as will the director of the film.
Yes.
Who's the director of the film?
Barry Shills.
Okay. And a wonderful opportunity. Where can people get tickets?
They can get tickets online, awarenessfilmfestival.org, I believe it is. I think we have the link there. Okay. There's a little short clip, a Vimeo clip there. Lovely. So you can see a little bit from the documentary itself. You can purchase tickets there. Also, I wanted to say Kai Verelig will be there. Okay. He's also one of our portraits.
He's adorable.
Such a good young man now.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, a young man. Some of these kids I've been working with since they were 8 and 9 years old, and they're 17, 18 years old now.
They grow up.
They grow up.
That
they grow up. They're like my kids. And Abby Lutz.
Okay.
Abby Lutz is also one of our portraits, and she'll be there.
Okay.
And she's 17 as well. A lot of these kids they're almost ready to become age of majority.
Right.
And most of them I started with them when they're 8 or 9 years old, 10 years.
Precious kids. So wonderful opportunity. I know many people have been writing in saying, you know, how do we find access to people who are on the spectrum? Because I was saying the other day about how much it's changed my life, being able to talk to older individuals on the spectrum and what worked for them. This is an ideal opportunity for people to catch that.
That's right.
Here in Los Angeles. But we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the screening that you're doing in New York.
Oh, that's right.
Joanne is having screenings on both coasts. Look at you.
We've become very successful with our doc.
That's right. So stick with us. We're going to be right back with more Joanne Lara after these messages.
Hello, fellow activists. In our last segment, we talked about step number 2, educate yourself. Step number 3 is get support. Now, any journey can feel overwhelming if you feel like you're walking it alone. Well, you're far from alone, because with 1 in 50 kids diagnosed with autism today, there are a lot of us out there. Of course, there's always the issue of financial support. Now, there's a handful of organizations out there that offer financial support to families in need. ACT Today, or Autism Care and Treatment Today, is one of them. Visit our website at www.act-today.org to find out more about our grant process. I want to talk about a different kind of support today, emotional support. Now, you can get that from other travelers on this path. Some of the best advice I've ever received is from the moms of other kids with autism who went to school with Wyatt or were involved with programs with him. Then there are the pioneers. These are the families that have gone through this years ago, and there was very little information out there. All of these people seem to have the desire to pay it forward. Now, one of them, Lisa Ackerman, who is one of my mentors, started an organization called TACA, Talk About Curing Autism. She actually took the concept of mentors and support groups and made it available to everybody. You can go to their website, talkaboutcuringautism.org, to find out more. During the first and most difficult year after Wyatt's diagnosis, I wrote an email to close family and friends, letting them know what was going on and the challenges our family was facing, and why we dropped out of sight. I was amazed at the outpouring of love and affection and all the help I received from that email. First, you have to be vulnerable. You can't be afraid to ask. Try this out. Could you cook me a meal? Are you going to the market? Can you pick me up a few things? Could your kids play with my kid and make them feel included? Or can you come over and clean my house? Well, maybe not that last one, except with your best friend. And maybe the best support of all is having someone that listens, and that doesn't cost a dime. So until next time, surround yourself with the loving kindness of others and keep the faith.
Welcome back to Autism Live. We're so excited because we have Joanne Lara with us here live in the studio, and I've actually left, normally I'm like, okay, Joanne, we have 6 minutes, get it all
You're
in.
done.
And there's no way you can with Joanne because Joanne has too many things to talk about. Well, no, there's nothing. That's the truth. You have so many things going on, and it's really wonderful. Your piece of the autism community, what you bring to the pie, is pretty amazing and pretty comprehensive. So we had been speaking before about her film Generation A, Portraits of Autism in the Arts, and the fact that there is a screening of it this weekend at LA Live for the film festival called Awareness Film Festival. But the truth of the matter is that you also have a screening coming up later on this month in New York City at the Golden Door Festival.
Yes, that's an international film festival.
It's pretty impressive,
it's
madam.
Paul Sorvina's son, Michael Sorvina.
Very big deal.
And we're thrilled. Interestingly enough, that's a film festival that is very kind to autism, and there's going to be a number of individuals. Ed Asner is going to be honored. I think Elaine Hall will be there, and her kids are dancing in the opening night gala. And then, of course, we're screening on September 25th at 6 p.m.
Okay.
And it's at the Lowe's. I believe all of their films are at the Lowe's hotel there. That's where the film festival takes place in Jersey City. For those of you that are East Coast, I will not be at that screening because I had already prior committed to dance here in Hermosa Beach at the Hermosa Community Center with We Can Dance. It's an incredible organization. It's Irina. She's a ballroom dancer. These are all ballroom dancers. And her daughter is Anna from Dancing with the Stars, the beautiful redhead dancer. And she's our host.
Anna Tribunskaya?
Yes. I think that's right, isn't it? Yes.
I think so.
Yes.
No, I haven't ever watched that show. What makes you say that? I love that show.
But she's an amazing dancer,
Yes,
and
she
this
is.
year she has Gary Busey is her.
Oh,
I said,
that's
"That's
gonna
gonna
be worth
be
everything
great."
to tune in because Gary is such a live wire.
Right?
Oh,
but she's
my
our
goodness.
host, and
That's so
it's
exciting.
actually the very same night that we screen at the Golden Door, and I'd already committed. I was already in rehearsals. I've been rehearsing every week, and now they say I'm looking good. There's 6
Sweetheart,
couples,
you look better than good.
but for dancing, I'm doing the salsa. You know how fast the salsa is?
There is a picture of you with a young Russian gentleman.
That's him. That's my
eye
partner.
candy, and with your leg up so high that I was like, "Oh, girl."
I can still put the leg up.
That's crazy talk.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff. But I'm dancing for Autism Movement Therapy. We're dancing for our charity. So it's all about, Autism Movement Therapy and charity and bringing in some funding for the
Yes,
charity.
yes.
And I'd already committed. So what happens is I'll do that. I'll go to the party afterwards, the gala afterwards party, and then I get on a plane early the next morning because I do fly in for the Golden Door International Film Festival. They've asked me to speak on Sunday about transitioning, and I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Right.
That's my new platform, is transitioning and job opportunities for our individuals on the autism spectrum.
Wonderful.
So they gave me 45 minutes.
Saturday is the screening, and you can go see if you're on the East Coast.
No,
you can see-
Friday.
Oh, Friday. Excuse me.
Friday.
So Friday is the screening,
And then me dancing in Hermosa Beach.
Right. So if you're on the East Coast, you can go to the screening
At 6.
and then if you're on the West Coast, you can go see her dance.
You can see me, see me dance.
But on Sunday, if you're on the East Coast, you can hear her speak about transitioning at the Golden Door
At
Festival.
11 a.m.
Okay.
at Lowe's, again at Lowe's. And they've given me 45 minutes. And it's kind of the first time out of the chute for me in addressing a large group of individuals who want to know what's going on with the transitioning in our kids and how are we going to move into the next phase of job employment for individuals on the autism spectrum.
And we're going to talk more about that too, but first we're going to give them a little bit more information about Golden Door. Where can they go to find out more information about that?
Golden Door International Film Festival.org.
Okay.
And that's
Go and check that
it.
out. And there's more films to check out as well that have to deal
Janet
with autism.
Grillo is opening the film festival with her new film.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So check that out if you're on the East Coast. We're going to take a break and we're going to come back and talk about what's happening with Autism Works Now.
Okay.
And at some point, we're going to find some time to talk about China. When I said there was a lot to talk about, I wasn't kidding. Stick with us.
Okay.
So we're going to do down dog next. So with down dog, there are several different ways that you can do it, and I want to show you first and then help you with yours so that we can work on what feels good for you, okay? All right, because there's no right way to do it. It's more about what your body likes, all right? So for me, what I'm going to do is start off with my hands at the top of my mat, my headlights. My fingers are aiming towards the top of my mat, and then I'm going to tuck my toes, and then my head is also going to drop, and I'm going to look between my toes. Okay? And my body should be, or hopefully, like an A shape. Or V. Or V, yes.
Upside down V.
Yep. And so if your quads are tight or your hamstrings are tight, you might need to bend your knees a little bit.
Then it's a U.
Or if your shoulders are a little strained or a little tight, remember to push in through your feet. But also sometimes what feels really good is going down your forearms like this. You can actually start out this way instead, it's a little easier. So your forearms rest on the floor. You still tuck your toes, and then you're still looking between your toes. But rather than being on your hands then, your weight's along your hands and your forearms. Okay? All right. So, now it's your turn. Okay? So, yep. You're going to do on your hands? Okay, yep. So your fingers are facing the front of the mat. Are you doing forearms? Forearms? Okay, there we go. Wow, you're very bendy. Very nice. And your gaze is right here between your toes. Excellent. Very nice, Jem. Wow. Awesome. feet are a nice distance apart. How does that feel?
Okay.
Awesome. You want to come down? Excellent. Good. Good.
Welcome back to Autism Live. We're here with Joanne Lara. We've been talking about her film Generation A, Portraits of Autism and the Arts, which is screening at the LA Live, the Regal
Awareness.
Cinema. It's called the Awareness Film Festival. It's also, and that's this weekend, September 13th at 5 p.m. It's also screening at the Golden Door Festival on the 25th of September.
25th, yeah,
On that
Friday.
Friday night.
6 p.m.
6 p.m. And then she will be speaking on the 27th
That's right.
at 11 a.m.
11 a.m.
We were talking about that. What we didn't mention, which is very remiss of us, that in addition to all the young people that you mentioned on the film, also Dr. Temple Grandin and Dr. Stephen Shore are featured.
And Dr. Batra.
And Dr. Batra. So it's a really amazing film. Want you guys to have an opportunity to check that out. But you know, in talking about this, we keep coming back around to, because I know it's something that you're really passionate about right now, is Autism Works Now.
Yes, which was what the event with Temple Grandin and Friends was all about.
Yeah.
And it's 6 months later, and I just signed the lease on the office, our first office.
Yay.
I mean, I got like tears in my eyes when I was walking down the hall going, I'm signing a lease for Autism Works Now.
That's amazing.
You know,
it's
and
amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Just the beginning of a very long story, a very long sentence that's going to have a lot of punctuation, but how amazing that things have moved forward to the point where you've got an office. And the whole point of this, talk to people about what the mission is, what you're trying to do.
The mission is to segue into employment. Meaningful employment for individuals with autism and related disorders, or differences, as I'm now saying. And we're acting as a temp agency, so we are temporarily employing, because our idea is that through temporary employment, people will begin to see who our individuals are, who our young people are, and how great they are. And we're hoping that those temp jobs, just like any other temp job, could segue into and will segue into part-time and full-time employment for our individuals. We think that, and I personally feel that it's a long shot to say, we want you to employ our kids. That's all well and kind and good, and the employers go, that's great, yeah, that's all interesting, oh yeah, we'll do it. And they don't. They don't because they don't really understand our population. And they don't know about splintered skill sets. And they don't know that our kids are really great at Excel, or really wonderful artists, or really fine communicators in splintered skill set areas. They see bad publicity. They see and they hear and they read and they see in the grocery store children who are tantruming, and that's who they think we're asking them to employ. And it is, but what they don't see is the other side of the piece, which is as our kids age and develop and become young adults, they move into our community population and they have a lot to offer. And those behaviors have fallen away. They're not that 8-year-old child any longer. That's not who they are, just like any neurotypical child. But our society is holding on to the picture of the 8-year-old kid at the grocery store who can't stay in the basket and his mother's having a really tough time. I just wrote an article for Autism Speaks about this. Autism Asperger's Digest about this. And we have a misconstrued idea of who our youth are. So we have more work to do, and I think we have to roll up our sleeves and we have to go back out there and we have to inform and educate the public at large on who we are.
Yeah.
Because we're asking employers to employ our individuals, and they don't know who they are, and they're afraid.
Yeah.
And they're afraid. So my idea is with a temp agency, hey, you go in, you do the job, and you do it well. And then they say, hey, wow, we had no idea.
Yeah.
We'd like that individual to come back.
Right.
But we're also as a collaborative piece of Autism Works Now and temporary employment, we are offering workshop readiness. It's a workplace readiness workshop. So it's an ongoing workshop, and it's monthly. So you can come, you can pay the fee for, it's $125 for a month, and it's once a week, and it's on Thursdays from 6 to 8 now. And Susan Osborne and I are developing the curriculum for that. We've already developed 6 months, the first 6 months of the curriculum, which we hope to turn into a book, like Autism Movement Therapy Method, Autism Works Now Method book. And the curriculum, as you know, I'm a credentialed moderate to severe education specialist with a master's in moderate to severe multiple disability, so I come with a heavy credential in the education area. So it's not just let's kind of sit around and learn how to do Word doc. We really have a very, very well thought out curriculum. Each month we will address another piece of the pie of what employment looks like, real employment. We're having lecturers come in. Danny Bowman has agreed to come in. We've got a number of other individuals who are working individuals on the autism spectrum who will lend their expertise in what it is to get a job and how do you do it and how do you keep it and what it entails. We also are addressing how do you dress for a job?
Yeah.
How do you dress for a job interview? Hygiene, work skills that are pretty much a no, you know, everyone that graduates from a high school setting now has an email, knows how to use Word doc and Excel. Sadly, not our kids.
Yeah.
You know, which makes me think, what are we doing in the education system for our kids? But if you can't do those 3 skills, you're not really job ready, because every job now that we know of, you need an email because you need correspondence. You need to know how to use Word doc. Why? Because you have to communicate with your other teammates.
Yeah.
And you need to know how to use Excel. So that's going to be one whole area, is going to be using the tools. What are the tools that we need to know to become employable?
Yeah.
Even if you're working in banquets, Airtel Plaza here in Los Angeles, met a number of times with them. I think we're just about ready to get on board with them for the holiday banquets.
Yay.
And hey, you need an email, because someone's going to email you and give you the time that you need to show up and what you need to bring. And so email.
Right.
Most important thing about getting a job, and most people aren't thinking in that area.
Yeah.
They're thinking of a job and then what they're going to do on the jobs on the job location.
Yeah.
And a lot of getting a job is prior knowledge and prior skills.
Yeah.
Building up to getting that job and going on to the job location.
Well, I think what's so important, Joanne, is that you've created a safety net for both sides of the equation. You're giving the skills to the individuals to set them up for success so that they can acquire the job and they can keep the job and they can understand what's being asked of them and deliver it. Because we know they can deliver if they do understand what's being asked of them.
That's right.
And you've given the safety net for the employer to know that they're going to get somebody who is job ready, and if a hiccup happens, they don't have to descend into fear and I don't know what to do about this. They have a way in which to converse with you to be able to help this individual to be able to once again get back on track and deliver.
That's right.
And that's, we can talk endlessly about, awareness for companies about that they should hire our kids. But the truth of the matter is, until we get down to, just like we do everything else, when we get down to the steps of what is it going to take to make it work and then do it,
That's right.
it's not going to happen. So you're getting it done, which you're queen of, getting it done.
I see the whole, big idea is what
which
I
is
see.
great.
And then I need a lot of people to help me to execute it.
Well, I think you're good at communicating that to people, and that's a wonderful thing. So first of all, I want to say, for people who see and hear this and go, okay, this is amazing, this is world changing, right? And they want to get behind it and be helpful and supportive and maybe at some point bring it to their community. Where can they go to get more information and to donate?
We have autismworksnow.org.
Okay.
We have the two websites, autismmovementtherapy.org and autismworksnow.org, and there's information for employers there and potential employees. So if you're interested and you want to know and you're in Kansas City, Missouri, or Kansas City, Kansas, there's a place for you to email me, and if you want to know more about what we're doing or how you can do this in your community. Look, I don't want to be the only one doing it. I've always said I don't want to be the only one that knows how to teach a movement and music program.
Right.
That's not what I'm about. I want all the individuals to get served. I want kids all over the world to know what do they need to do to get a job. Interestingly enough, I was in Kuwait last year with Dr. Stephen Shore for an international autism conference, huge conference. And I now speak about, well, when your children are working, and we get, I look at the faces, and the faces are like, what?
What's she talking about?
Working?
That's not the autism we've been served up in the last 10 years.
No, exactly. So it's a whole new concept for people, not only in this country, but all across the world, to really begin to see that vision for the child, which I say is so, so important. You as a parent, the best thing you can do for your child is to begin to help them have a vision of who they are and what their place in the community is. You see, because we're not doing that. We're not saying you're 5 and oh my gosh, you're going to be, look at you, you are a real great communicator, and you love math. Let's just say math. You love math. Well, okay, so let's put on the thinking cap and say, what is the job for this little guy? What's it going to be? Instead, we're not doing that. We're saying to the sister, oh, going to be an attorney, go to Princeton, Harvard, Yale, Papa. What about this child? Oh, well. No, we have to say, this child, this guy is such a numbers guy, he's going to be a great accountant someday. Then we're sending the message to the child, because you're the mother and you're the most important person in his life or her life, we're sending, hell yeah, I'm good at that's what I'm good at. We might have other issues, but I'm really great at math and I'm going to be an accountant someday. Whether or not that ever pans out, most of our children are going to be things that they never are.
Exactly.
But that's the important piece, is to give them the idea of who they are early on. I think there's nothing more important that you could do, is to give your child a vision of how they can be a contributor. Who are they going to be in the society?
Yeah, absolutely. So Autism Works Now, it's a thing that's just beginning to gather steam, but we're looking forward to all the good things that are going to come from this.
The first month,
yes.
Every month we have a field trip. We've 3 lectures, 6 to 8, 2-hour lecture workshop, but one of those weeks in the month we do a field trip. And the first field trip we go to here in Los Angeles is the Fox Studios. And the HR gal who heads up, Lindsay, who heads up HR at Fox, has agreed to do mock interviews with our kids. So our youth are bringing their one at a time they'll go in, they'll bring their resume, they must put their resume together, and they'll do an interview. Yeah. And she'll let them know in a great constructive way, hey, this is the way you might want to walk in like this. You might want to try to have that eye contact when you walk in. Yeah. You want to maybe talk about what your hobbies are. People like to know a little more about you than what your skill set is.
Right.
All these things we think are going to be really vital. And then the next month we are going to Spirit Ranch, and Eva Lund is having us there. And of course, there's many, many job opportunities with her horses, and she has lots of animals there as well. Yes. So we're excited about that, and each month there'll be another field trip.
And so if you're in the Los Angeles area and you have you have an adult, you were 18 and up, is that the age range?
Some of the kids in the workshop on Thursday from 6 to 8 are 17 and still in high school, which is okay because we think it's a prep, really.
Okay. So again, they can go to autismworksnow.org to find out more information and register to be a part of this. And we're going to keep you guys posted on what happens with Autism Works Now. We're going to take a break, and when we're going to go to the A Word, which is an ongoing documentary that's being made by the Center for Autism. Now, Kelby helped me to know at some point in this show, we didn't figure out when, we're going to debut. Is that now or is that later? Well, what I would like to do, see, isn't it nice that we prepped this and we're having a discussion about this now that you can't hear because it's in my ear? What I'd like to do is show the old one first and then debut the new one, the new footage that we have. That works for you, Kelby? Kelby gave me the thumbs up on that. We can't do it without Kelby. Because I love the fact that this ongoing documentary has been following a little boy with autism. There's over 3 years of footage that was shot with him, and there was a year span between the last footage and this most recent footage, catching Jack Riley on his very last day of ABA therapy. So amazing family, an amazing journey. We're going to show just our regular episode of it, and then you'll get an opportunity to see Jack Riley as he was just about a month and a half ago. It's the most updated version of Jack Riley. And then, Joanne, are you able to stay so that we can talk more about China as soon as this is over?
Yes.
So we're
I'm
going to
excited to see the footage.
Okay. Well, you're not going to get to hear it in here, unfortunately, but I'll get you a link.
Okay.
I'll hook you up.
You hook me in. Okay.
I'll hook you in.
Okay.
All right. So here it is, ladies and gentlemen. The A Word then, and stay tuned for the A Word now.
I know a cute little blue-eyed boy, and his name is Jack. Jack Riley. He got a big, warm, blue-eyed soul that makes your heart beat fast.
Hi, Jessica's daddy. That's right. Who's this? Who's this? Bobby. And who's that? Daddy.
Who's that?
Over there? Who's that? Shishin.
And I totally think he's just aware of a lot of things now. People's names. How's the behavior team going with the inflexibilities?
He's still a big control guy. He still wants it the way he wants it.
In sessions, he was very, he'd get very upset,
And he gets upset fast, like for reasons that didn't used to upset him. He gets upset fast, and then once he's upset, everything upsets him.
Were they really long?
But it was a good half hour, the whole tantrum, which is long for him. Really long.
Yeah.
And he would just get so upset.
Yeah, everyone tells us, it's not unexpected. He's 3 and blah, 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 but
So we get it, we know it.
Still, it's harsh. Yeah, he's 3, but he's our 3-year-old.
Tell me a vehicle.
Good
Good job. Tell me another vehicle.
Airplane.
Airplane is a vehicle. Yay. Okay, 2 more. Okay. Tell me a food.
I can't eat food.
Pancake is a food.
Yeah.
Tell me another food. Tell me another one.
Food.
Cereal bar is a food. Yeah.
But he's a zebra. Hey, Jack Riley.
Yes.
Good job. Tell me an animal.
What's animal?
What's that?
Tell me one more time. What's an animal?
What's animal?
Rhinoceros.
Rhinoceros.
Oh, okay, it's an animal. Tell me another animal. I know. Tell me another one. Oh, here are your shoes. What animal is that?
Froggy.
Froggy is a what? No, frog is a
Arrow.
good. So tell me another animal. Rhinoceros is an animal, and tell me another one.
More pancake.
No, look at me. No, no, look at me.
Apple.
There you go. Thank you. Pancakes are not animals, silly.
There's a clue from it.
More pancake.
Yeah, and I don't mind if he looks around to like get clues, get hints. That's totally fine. Yes, I've been running sessions a little bit more like that lately, just because his behaviors have been really high. Just like if we're jumping on the bed or dancing, I'll stop for a minute and ask him like 3 or 4 questions, and then we'll just keep dancing or whatever we're doing. Let me probe through some stuff real quick.
What are you gonna be probing?
Actions. So I just want to see if he already knows it, then I won't even bother introducing it. Give me kissing.
Oh, good. What are the kids doing?
He's kissing.
Oh, they're kissing. Can you show me kissing? Oh, good job. Give me cleaning. Okay, good. What's the girl doing?
He's cleaning.
She's cleaning. Good job.
Water.
Okay, one more. Can I have it? One more. Give me crying. What's the baby doing?
He's baby.
What's she doing? What's the baby doing?
She's baby.
She's wah-wah? She's crying.
She's crying.
Oh, okay. Maybe we'll do crying.
He's kissing.
He's kissing. What about this one? What's she doing there?
She's cooking.
Oh, she's cooking. Okay. And what's this one? What's she doing?
He's crying.
Oh, okay. So basically he knows all of them. All right, cool. All right. What are they doing?
He's dirty.
They're what?
There's cooking.
Oh, they're cooking. Good job.
Lots of cooking. Lots of cooking.
Mom is cooking?
Lots of cooking.
Lots of cooking? Oh, okay, cool. All right, all done. Thank you.
My name is Jack Riley.
I know a cute little blue-eyed boy, and his name is Jack.
Jack Riley.
He got a big, warm, blue-eyed soul that makes your heart beat fast.
Exciting.
I sing Jack, Jack, Jack is my buddy. Jack is my buddy. Everybody around is so down with Jack.
So Jack Riley, how old are you?
6.
Are you in first grade?
No, it's going to be first grade though.
So what are you in now?
I'm going 0th grade.
You're what do you call 0th grade?
Kindergarten.
The A word.
I think that word was far worse than we ever expected.
Yeah, I remember I kicked the garbage can when we were outside. My foot hurt. I remember that. That wasn't a very good day.
Say, yeah, there we go. Good job. Green or orange? What is it? What's your dad's name?
White.
It's
I
guess it's a pretty good example of what it could look like. I mean, there's struggles for all kids, but the fact that they were, Cheryl and Mike were so great, taking in our parent training and utilizing the tools that we gave them and being on board with us and being consistent. I feel like consistency is so important because sometimes I know when parents come home, it's just easier for them to just give the child whatever it is that they need because they've had therapy all day. But consistency, I feel, is so important. And that's, how you get over, their behaviors, their difficulties, and yeah. So, yeah, consistency is key. And it's obviously worked for them.
Like that, okay? Ready? You can do it. 1, 2, 3. Yay! Good job!
Good job,
Jack.
We adore him, so whether you do the right thing because of that, you're doing something because of it.
I think I saw it.
Coincidentally, some of it's right.
When we first, you hear autism, and of course I did all the online research to scare you to pieces, and one of the things that probably hit me the hardest was that he's not supposed to be a kid who likes affection. He's not supposed to be a kid who's going to put out affection. And of course that's not true, but you know, what did we know at the time? So I think then, and it's in both of our nature, that we thought we could love it out of him, which is probably one of the best things that we ever did.
Maybe, I don't know.
I'm going to marry somebody.
Yeah.
Eloise.
Eloise? You got a lot of contenders though for who you might
Yes,
marry.
I do.
Who else might you marry?
She's the only one I'm going to marry.
Oh yeah.
I hope.
And as I said many years ago, I want him to date. I think that forms you. It informs everything in your life. You know, getting your heart broken, breaking a heart, confidence, insecurity, everything's informed by dating. And I really want him to do that. And to me, that's a typical behavior.
Just that, I don't know, I mean, he's just such a cool kid. It's just, we are amazed every day at some of the stuff that he says and does, and feel very, I guess, honored, privileged to be his parents.
Well, what if Mommy asks you to eat broccoli? What will you do?
I would eat it, but I don't like it.
Okay.
It just tastes like, because I don't like eating trees, and that looks like a tree.
That's true. You don't like eating trees?
It looks like a small tree, like this big a tree.
Yeah.
That's one thing that autism has done for us. If I just don't know that if you don't go through this, that you, I mean, I was never someone who lived in the present very well. I tend to look to the future a lot, always planning what's next, and boy, he helps me to live in the present, because you just have to. You have to appreciate every little thing.
A part of me wants him to forget that he ever even had therapy, just to grow up and make memories, make friends, and yeah, be successful in life.
Perfect. Now pull the other bunny in. Did it! Designed to escape.
It's not a death sentence. A lot of joy and growth, and when you find the fun, it's probably bigger than it ever would have been with a typical kid, because you work so hard for it. And that's about it, I think.
Can you take this off?
Yeah.
Makeup.
Temperamental star.
Nailed it.
Welcome back. Lovely to be able to put a period at the end of that sentence, and we want to thank Kelby for both shooting and editing the footage for the A word, and this will now be added to the library. I want you to know that we consider that the A word will continue and go on. Right now, we've been trying for the last year to identify a family that you've asked for, and we're looking for a family that has an older child on the autism spectrum, that you would like to see what ABA therapy looks like with an older child. And we are looking to identify that, and we will let you know. We plan on the A word continuing, but what a lovely family. We want to thank the family that allowed us into their home and was so gracious throughout this process. And check out the entire series so that you can see how they got to that good spot where Jack Riley is just doing so remarkably well. Now, I'm thrilled that we still have with us in the studio Joanne Lara, and we've been talking with her about a wide variety of exciting things that you have going on. I can't imagine what your Outlook calendar must look like, because you're a very busy lady. A film documentary that's having screenings in the next 3 weeks on both coasts, which we've been talking about, the film Generation A, Portraits of Autism and the Arts. You can check it out at the Awareness Film Festival here in Los Angeles on Sunday, September 13th at 5 p.m. at the LA Live Regal Theater. And then you can also see it on the East Coast on the 25th of September at, did you say 6 p.m. for that one?
6 p.m.
6 p.m. For the Golden Door Film Festival happening in New York City. And then at that film festival, Joanne will be speaking on the Sunday at 11 o'clock at the Golden Door Film Festival. We also mentioned that you can see her dancing on the 25th.
In Hermosa Beach Community Center, but with like some really professional, I mean, there's going to,
it looks
the
great.
gala is going to be real professional ballroom dancers. I'm just dancing for my charity.
and a wonderful charity, Autism Movement Therapy. So support her for that if you're on the West Coast on the 25th. We talked about Autism Works Now. What an amazing organization, a charity that Joanne is the leader of, helping give job skills to individuals who are on the autism spectrum and have them met with employers who are given that prepared person as a temp, hopefully with a vision to having them work full time.
Matching job skill sets with employers.
Really amazing. So we've talked about all that, but Joanne, as she has mentioned throughout this, is someone who travels the world and does a lot of great work and has been working as an advocate, bringing information to countries that might otherwise not have that information. It's a who's who of list of people that you travel with. And you just come back from China.
From Beijing. Second trip to China.
A huge autism conference being held there that you were invited to come and participate and speak. And you were there with a lot of friends of ours. One of them, in fact, Spencer Hart, that we have a heart for here on the show.
That's right.
An amazing young woman who is a beautiful singer.
That's right.
And my son is one of her biggest fans. He just thinks that she is the greatest thing since sliced bread, because pretty much he's right.
That's right.
Amazing.
And her mother, Jill.
And her mother, Jill, who I totally love.
We love Jill.
And Elaine Hall also went with you. We want to give a big shout out to Elaine and hope that she's feeling better, because she came back from China, promptly fell and busted her arm all to you know what.
Doing laundry.
Jeez, I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh.
I said no more laundry doing.
But the woman goes and does all of these things.
She climbed the wall. I did not climb the wall.
Right? And
she climbed the Great Wall of China.
And I, like 2 weeks before, my son was doing a camp that she was doing, and she was on the floor crawling around with kids.
Yes.
And went to China, climbed the wall, came back and busted her arm doing laundry. I'm just saying, Elaine. Like you can't even write that stuff. Nobody believes it. But we hope she's feeling better.
Yes.
I know she's gotten enough movement back in her cast that she can pinch again.
That's what she showed us yesterday. Yes.
Right. So we're thrilled, Coach E, that you've got that back.
Yeah.
Stop doing laundry.
Yeah.
The world needs you. But so all of those people went with you and your entourage to go to China. Tell us, what was it like?
It was an amazing breakthrough, I think, for this individual group of people. We had a lot of young, which was it was just made me so happy, my heart so happy to see all these young individuals who are professionals who work with our kids in some capacity, either as educators or service providers. Not a lot of services in China. They haven't gotten there yet, but they do work with our kids in some capacity, and they see the value of the arts. Okay. So Elaine was there, and she did a 3-hour workshop on Miracle Project and theater and how important theater is. I was there for AMT. I did a 3-hour workshop. I gave them the class, the 45-minute AMT class, and then we did a number of other things that talked about brain-based vision, audio processing, gross motor processing, and whole brain thinking. These were all really new concepts for these individuals. But the beauty was that they couldn't have been more open, they couldn't have been more receptive. When are you coming back? When can we learn more about this? Because they have a deficit of services there. Yeah. The only service that they have that they're just beginning to open up to is ABA, which is all good. Yeah. I'm a big ABA fan. Yeah. My book is all about Autism Movement Therapy. The method book is about using ABA and behavioral therapy so that you can teach the arts.
Right.
Let's face it, if we have therapies and we can't get the individual to the table, we're not going to be doing any art. We're not going to be doing anything. We're not going to be we've got to, the behavior is the biggest piece in my book. Literally in my book. And so they do have now a number of people that are coming in that are presenting ABA. Good.
Yes.
I say good. Other people say not so good. I say great.
Yes.
Because I think that's a very valuable piece. And I think it's a piece we all have to come to the table on. And then we can offer the alternatives. So we were there, we did workshop. We also were at the psych festival that I spoke about, a psychology festival. And we were kind of like a subset of the psychology conference, huge. I mean, I think there were 500 people for the conference there. I don't know, they had us take a picture. We all had to get in this big parking lot area, and we all were in chairs, 500 people taking a picture.
Okay.
You know, in the hot sun, it was like 100 degrees out. And you're like that.
Kelby has a picture right now that's up on the screen.
Oh,
That is
yes.
the individuals that you went.
That's our team.
There we
Absolutely, that's our team. That's the art team.
Julie, I want to see some more of the pictures, Kelby. Okay, so tell us a little bit of.
So here I am doing my workshop, 3-hour workshop, and doing the AMT class. And I'm leading the AMT class, the Autism Movement Therapy class. And I think we had about 20 participants in the workshop.
Lovely.
Yeah.
And so is this you at the Psych Fest?
This is me at the Psych Fest, and I'm presenting my PowerPoint on the brain and the 4 lobes of the brain.
And so is this young woman in the red, is she the translator?
She's my translator,
Okay.
yes. So everything was interpreted from English into Chinese. And that was in Beijing.
And China is a beautiful language.
Yes. And this is us again. This is all of the presenters at the Psych conference.
Wonderful.
All of us after we did our presentations.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's some more pictures of you guys with the Autism Movement Therapy.
Yes. Yeah. I love that picture. Look, she's like flying.
How beautiful.
And we had one individual who was an older individual on the autism spectrum, a savant, actually.
Wow.
And he told me he wanted to do the movement and music through his mother. His mother came with him and brought him.
Okay.
And I said, absolutely, I'm tomorrow at I think I was 3:30 to 7:30. And he showed up.
Wow.
And he did it it was amazing. And when we spoke with him after, I did like a round table kind of thing, but we're sitting, of course, on the floor, crisscross on the floor. And I said, what did you feel like? And he said he felt like he was flying. And that it was beautiful.
Oh.
And he also is a savant in music.
Okay.
So, perfect candidate for autism movement therapy, loves music, but no one's doing these programs there. So we really need to get back. I'm trying to get us back there. Our sponsor is Chung-Hong Wang. She is on Facebook.
Okay.
I don't know how, because Facebook is banned in China, but there are some apps that you can go around it. And she brought us there. And she wants to, I believe, from what I'm understanding from her, is she wants us to be ongoing sponsor, mentors in some capacity. And I don't know if we're going to do that through Skype or how we're going to do that, where we can kind of get these programs up and running there.
Can you Skype with China?
Yeah, you can Skype with China.
So interesting. No Facebook, but Skype.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of you that were on the trip. I'm friends with on Facebook, and that I see regularly in my newsfeed. And it was interesting, as you all left, everybody said, "Okay, we're going into China. It's going to be radio silence for a while," and it was.
Yes.
And then, we knew when you were back, because once again, things commenced, and we were
put the
looking
pictures
forward to
up.
the pictures.
10 days.
I didn't see any pictures of the wall, though. I don't know how those got.
Elaine had some.
They weren't on my feed when I noticed them. You know
I
what
have
mean?
some too.
Was that just an amazing thing?
I have been, when I went to China last year for the Nanjing International Autism Festival conference, where I was a guest lecturer, we went to the wall, and Carrie Bowers was with me, and we climbed up a certain amount of stairs, and I have pictures of us on the wall. So there's different entry levels for the wall, because it's hundreds of miles long. The entry that we went into, and I love the entry they picked, was a lake. It's the only time the wall goes into the water in China. and it's a lake. Wow. And so Jill and Chung Hong and myself stayed down at the lakefront and did those paddle boats on the lake, while a lot of our other colleagues, including Spencer, climbed to the top of that area of the Great Wall.
Okay.
And it took them 2.5, 3 hours.
Wow.
So we were doing the paddle boat and kind of just being around the lake and the beauty of the lake and the wall being, you know, around us. And they were climbing the wall.
Wow.
So Elaine climbed the wall, and so did her husband, Jeff, who was there.
Right.
He's also an MFT. He's a lovely individual. A lot to offer to our kids and families.
Yeah.
And I liked him very much. He climbed the wall, and Spencer climbed the wall, and Elaine and Ruth. It escapes me, but she has songs to sing by, or why can't I remember? I like her very much too. She's a musical gal who's developed a program for our kids.
Okay.
Someone that you might want to interview as well.
Absolutely.
We also had another individual named David, and he plays the didgeridoo.
Oh, love that.
And uses, you know, it vibrates at a different level. It's an Aborigine.
Yeah, I have a didgeridoo.
You know how to play it?
Well, I won't say that I'm good, but I have sleep apnea, and my doctor
That's
prescribed
what
it.
he was there to talk about.
My doctor prescribed it for me, so that it helps
and it's
your
for
apnea.
sleep apnea,
Yes,
right?
Yeah, apnea, yeah.
Yeah.
And
and it works.
Well, I don't know.
Do you
It's
play
thus
it and
far,
then go to
well,
bed?
I don't play it as often as I'm supposed to, because you have to get to the point where you strengthen that muscle in the back of your mouth, and you have to do it a lot, and I'm not that good at it. But we have fun with it at parties.
And you have one too?
I have one in my living room. It leans up against the fireplace.
I love it. And
It's-
he
I
does
love the
work with our
sounds of
kids
it.
with that too,
Yeah.
so you might want to bring him in
Well,
as well.
I would love to. My son certainly tries to play the didgeridoo, and it really, I mean, it's something that takes a certain
It's
amount
like the
of-
bowls to me,
Yeah.
the crystal bowls.
Yeah,
that it resonates at a higher frequency level for the brain,
Yeah,
is what I
it's
think.
very soothing, I must say,
love
that we do like that. My dog doesn't especially love it when I do the
Oh!
didgeridoo. She gets a little bothered by the whole thing. It's like,
does.
what's happening?
It's too high. It's like the sirens.
Maybe, I don't know.
It's too high frequency.
But in any case, I think it's weird for her too, because she can see that I'm holding it, and it's a big, long
And it's a
thing.
big thing, and it's like,
Yeah.
when did you get the elephant nose? Yeah.
Exactly.
Mom.
The didgeridoo, good. All right, we digress. But
Yeah,
China
sorry.
was
China,
fabulous.
Fabulous. And so hoping to go back and, you know, expand the art therapy programs there. I'd love to see AMT there. I'd love to see certification. I'm trying to do a certification workshop there.
Okay.
And that's what I'd like to do, and I think Elaine would like to do a miracle project there. Of course, they can get books from the West.
Right.
So I've already let Jessica Kingsley, is my publisher in London.
Yes.
I said, you know, I think this is a great market for us. We need to
Yes.
translate into Chinese.
Absolutely.
Because if they're not going to be able to get us in there to, you know, to
Yeah.
physically do it right now,
Right.
then we need to get the books in there.
There we go.
For them to.
So much of we talked about the China and the fact that Spencer was going to go. Were you there when she performed?
Oh,
Tell
yeah.
us about what
I
that
gave
was
her
like.
the red shoes that she performed
Oh,
in.
how
She
sweet.
loved these Chinese red shoes that had like a buckle strap that went over the ankle, and they were beautiful. And I bought a pair, and she wanted a pair, and I said, "Oh my gosh, why don't you use them tonight?" And she loved that.
Oh, how fun.
So there is a picture of her that I took, and she's got these red shoes. It's like the ruby red slippers.
I was just going to say,
And,
it's very
yeah,
much.
great.
There's no place like home.
Yes, and she did a lovely job, and there were about, I think all of the Sykes, the 500 people were there, hearing her and cheering her on, and it was an incredible thing for her. Yeah.
Wonderful.
And also, it's her homeland.
Yes, that's what I mean. There's no place like home. Okay, so we're going to take a break and come back for one more segment. Can you stay with us one more segment? Because I want you to talk about the certification.
Okay.
And we'll talk a little bit about your article in Autism Asperger Digest.
Oh, excellent.
So stick with us. We'll be back with more Joanne Lara after this message.
What is autism? What is autism?
What is autism?
What is autism?
What is autism?
What is autism?
I've been asking myself that for a very, very long time.
Let me think about that one.
Trying to, just,
Jeez. Let me think. Oh man, that's a big one. Yes.
Autism.
Autism is a neurological disorder that affects many of our kids in different ways.
It's a learning disability that affects the cognitive functions of the brain.
A lot of people have the misconception that it's a disability, and it's really not.
I look at it as like a special gift.
When one person thinks differently from another.
It's an opportunity for everyone to learn to understand someone that's a little different than them. Autism is the ability to educate.
They're given so much talent in different areas.
To me, autism means a chance to be with and be around people you really care about. Autism is beautiful.
It's a way of seeing the world differently.
It's always unique, totally intelligent, and sometimes mysterious.
Happiness that comes out of my son's hard work.
It's a movement.
Unpredictable.
That's right.
Awesome. Love.
The field I want to work in.
Laughter, fun, joy. Autism is beautiful to me.
I want you to remember these 3 words. There is hope.
We got a new logo.
Welcome back to Autism Live. We're here with Joanne Lara, and I asked her to stay for one more segment. I said, how many segments does it take to get to the bottom of Joanne Lara? It's like the Tootsie Pop thing. We're finding out. So I'm holding up Autism Asperger Digest, which you're a contributor for, and you have an article in this particular one?
Yes, I always have an article in each issue, and this.
And it comes out bi-monthly, tri-monthly?
It's every 3 months now. Temple Granton is our lead columnist, and then there are 9 of us that contribute to each of the issues. This issue, they published the first chapter of Autism Movement Therapy Method, Waking Up the Brain. So I'm thrilled, and I wanted to talk about that because I think it's a great, they suggested, I never even thought of it, and they suggested, they said, why don't you let us publish a chapter of the book? And I said, well, let me go back to Jessica Kingsley Publishers, because you always have to go back to your publisher and say, is that okay? And they said, absolutely, as long as you say Jessica Kingsley Publishers, And the book comes out October 21st. So they were happy, they were happy to see that, and we condensed it a little bit, and I think they did a great job. I'm thrilled that they published the first chapter of the book that comes out in October. But I think you'll get a little taste of what it's about. It's not real didactic. I didn't want it to be too anecdotal, and I didn't want it to be too didactic. I wanted it to be right down the middle, like good reading, if you will. Good reading. And I think it is.
Okay.
I think it is.
And so I also said I wanted you to talk about certification because, as you said, it's not your expectation that you're going to be able to go everywhere in the world and teach every single kid.
Right.
So with Autism Movement Therapy, you set about creating a way in which you could credential someone so that they would know and have the skills that you have and create their own Autism Movement Therapy program where they are. Talk to us about what it takes, who might be interested, when you have the trainings, and how they would sign up for it.
Well, we have the trainings every 3 times a year here in Los Angeles. That's a given. It's every October, March, and June, and then the dates kind of change within it. But the dates are already set up for 2015-16 till June 2016. Our next one here is October 24th and 25th, March 13th and 14th, and June 25th and 26th, I believe. I also intermittently go out wherever people want me to go, and New York is now one of my places that I go myself. I book myself into New York. We'll be September 28th and 29th at the Gibney Dance Center. It's on Broadway. It's downtown near Union Square. It's one of the smaller dance spaces, and I only have room for 10, and we're at capacity. I have a waiting list on that. So we're only able to take 10. Usually, we do about 15, 20 certifications, participants. It's a 2-day certification. It's a 10-hour, 5 hours a day, Saturday and a Sunday, or whatever the 2 days are. And it's a 45-minute, what AMT is a 45-minute structured movement and music program. I license the music. There's 6 songs. When you take the certification, you get those 6 songs. So I give you all the tools to put up an AMT 45-minute movement and music class. And it's structured just like any dance class would be structured. And many people debate with me about that the format stays the same. Within the different songs, we do some different movement depending on the level of your functioning of your individuals in your class.
Right.
But mostly it stays the same. And my idea for that is, this works for me and it works for all the kids that I've been working with,
Right.
is that there is a comfort in knowing that you're walking into the same routine. Our kids like that.
Yeah.
And I equate it to a ballet class.
Yeah.
I'm a dancer. I have a degree in dance. I danced for 20 years of my life. I could go to a ballet class anywhere in the world. What am I going to start with? Left hand on the bar pliés. That's the way a ballet class starts. What am I going to go to after that? Rond de jambes, en l'air, move center, center work across the floor. So the reason I structured my AMT class is that way, is it's a 45-minute structured center, across the floor, cool down.
Right.
And it looks like a real dance class. That's why when you see the individuals doing the movement, it looks like a regular dance class. What I've done is take those 6 songs and structured the way, and it's all different kind of music. I have New Orleans Bayou music. I have French cafe music. I use 3 different songs from a guy that's a composer just for dance. And there's no lyrics in his songs. And then I use Zydeco music.
Oh.
And I love that. That's the last piece is Zydeco. But I've put that music there for a reason. And it scaffolds in the way that the brain is able to interpret the information. Because it's really all about ABA and the variables in the environment.
Right.
And how an individual, you, me, or anyone else, is processing variables in the environment. There's a light up here. You're sitting here. You've got on a pink sweater. This is a glass table. It makes noise. I don't hear anything.
Right.
Those are all variables. We're constantly processing variables in our environment as we walk through our daily routine of life. Our individuals with autism process to a lesser or greater degree differently.
Yeah.
They may not see that light, or they may only be able to see that light, and they can't come over here and process it all as a whole idea.
Right,
So
because they might see the flickering of that light that you and I
and they get
missed.
stuck there.
Exactly.
Or there could be a noise outside, and we could be hearing a and they can't see that, but they can hear
Right.
So how do we serve an individual that's processing that way?
Yeah.
I've always said, we try to help them have a whole brain thinking approach, meaning that if we begin to activate, if the individual is hearing over here, that means their audio processing is taking precedence over their visual. So what do we want to do so that they come a little bit closer to middle? We want to stimulate the visual processing, the gross motor. We know that whenever we marry visual processing and audio processing with gross motor, which is done at the cerebellum at the back of the brain, we know that we can get higher level thinking skills. So AMT, the program itself, is about marrying gross motor, ooh, ooh, ah, ah, with sound and speech. And what I didn't know in the beginning when I actually started the program was that we were going to kick in speech and language. And that's the biggest progress that we see with the kids.
Wow.
Is that limited communicators begin to, that area of the brain, which is on the left side of the brain, which is the Broca and the Wernicke's area. Those are the 2 areas that are responsible for speech and language. One is speech, actually speaking. And then language is pragmatics, meaning what are you saying? What is the idea behind the language? 2 different areas.
Yeah.
So that's why many of our kids can speak, but it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
The semantics is off, or the syntax is off. Everything's off, and people are, well, I don't know what he's saying.
Right.
Well, many times that child is married a very important moment with his variables in the environment. Say, for an example, a son goes with his father to a park. A dog runs over. The boy leans down to pet the dog. The father looks up at the sky and goes, wow, it's a beautiful blue sky today. Now go with me. They go to a party, a dog runs up to the boy and he leans down and he goes, blue sky,
Right.
blue sky.
Right.
he's retrieving the information of a very emotional moment for him,
Right.
but he married the audio processing with the visual and the gross motor,
Right.
and he's saying blue sky because that's what happened the last time he saw a dog.
Right.
And everyone goes, oh, he thinks the dog's name is Blue Sky. No, not so at all.
Right.
He married that processing, that audio processing, married with that gross motor and the emotional in the hippocampus. And that's what happens. That's what he's reading right now. That's what he's recalling. So, I mean, it's a wonderful tool, the brain.
Yeah.
And it is the power station.
Yeah.
And so we can't negate, and I think we all know that the brain is driving this train. And so if we can sort the brain out and we can get what we call neurostimulation, cortical cortex stimulation through the corpus callosum, or the bridge that bridges the left and right hemisphere. Because our kids don't have a lot of stimulation going into the left side. How do we know that? Because speech and language is the core deficit for autism. So we know that if you have an eligibility of autism, you have a speech and language deficit to a lesser or greater degree on the left side of your hemisphere in those two areas. So what we want to do is stimulate the area on the left side of the brain.
Yeah.
And through movement and music, we can do it. We've had music therapy around since 1944, but you got to marry it with the gross motor.
Yeah.
The key is to make it together. Marry the movement, the music processing, and audio and visual together, the brain wakes up.
Yeah.
Once it wakes up, then you want to make sure that's not enough to say, okay, now I'm awake. Just like your eyes open, you don't go, well, that's the end of the day. You have to make sure you're feeding information into higher level processing comes in what we call Bloom's taxonomy. So we know that the brain processes at the base level, which is getting your wants and needs known, and then analytical, then it moves up to higher level thinking skills. So what happens is people want our kids to try to jump to higher level thinking skills, and they're still at getting wants and needs known.
Right.
And then they go, oh, give up.
Right.
Not going to happen.
Right.
Yeah, but you have to go slowly through the process. And the brain can't jump there, can't make that jump. I have kids that I've taught to read where people said, never going to read.
Yeah.
I said, wait a minute. Go back to audio processing. What we have to do with reading is our kids don't have what we call perception of symbol. A doesn't mean anything to them. If A doesn't mean anything to you, you're not going to read.
Right.
No matter what. So what happens is if we can begin to, through audio processing, what's the sound for A? Ah, ah, ah. What's this picture? Ah, ah, apple. We can begin to get the idea of a perception of symbol across.
Yeah.
Then they go flying.
Yeah. It's
because
amazing.
they're audio learners.
Yeah.
See, many of our kids are audio learners,
Yeah.
not visual. We teach reading through visual processing.
Yeah. It's all very fascinating, and I'm a firm believer in the physical. You know, I used to teach, and one of the places that I taught, there were two different things that happened to me over my teaching career. One place that I taught a lot of kids that were dyslexic, and we were looking for any possible thing that we could help them to be able to process and flip the letters that they were flipping.
Right.
And there was a study that was recently out where they had taken carpet squares and had the kids tracing letters on the carpet square because the sensory of feeling the rough carpet on their
kinesthetic,
finger,
they call it, yeah.
right? That helped them to get it. And what they further found was the kids who have difficulty spelling because they put letters,
Mix
backward
the
and forward.
letters, yeah.
Like, there's something about not being able to see it and rely on that, but the adding another sense to it
Yes.
and physically being able to feel it really helped. And we still do that with my son.
So you have vision, you have
Yes.
gross motor.
Right, and this
Tactile.
Yeah, tactile. And if my son is having difficulty spelling a word, we have him lay on his stomach and spell it on the carpet,
Right.
and then he has it. It's an amazing tool.
Imprinted in the brain.
Right, and then later, when much later in my career, for a period of time, I was teaching lots of different English classes, but I had an 8th grade English class, only one 8th grade English class, And there was an interesting study out that showed that a way to teach, my kids were terrible with punctuation, but so that when you would diagram a sentence and put the punctuation in, that there was a movement for, so if you were going to make a comma, you had to stand up and go like this.
Oh, I love that.
Right?
So that's, again, gross motor.
Exactly. And if you were going to do 2 quotation marks, you had to go like this,
that.
right?
Yes.
And there were all these motions. So we would put a sentence on the board and we would, break into teams, and then they would have to perform the sentence and do the things to it.
And not only that, it gives meaning to it.
Well,
meaning is the key.
It got in their bodies.
Yes.
And literally, I mean, that's the way I phrase it, got in their bodies.
Yes.
And suddenly
they were
did
going
the punctuation.
Exclamation point.
And I looked at, and I remember one of, and I only did it with my 8th graders. I didn't do it with my 9th graders. And I remember one of the administrators saying, I don't understand why your 8th graders get punctuation and your 9th graders don't. And I said, because I did this with the 8th graders and I didn't do it.
Absolutely.
Amazing that when we if we're trying to remember something, to put a physicality with it, the ability that we have to remember it. So it makes sense to me that adding a physicality helps our kids in ways that we can't even begin to language ourselves.
That's right. We're at the tip of the iceberg on the brain.
Isn't it?
For
amazing?
everything.
For everything.
Yeah.
But how nice that you are languaging it for us about why this is so important with our kids with autism.
And the kids
people
are speaking.
People can be a part of this. If this isn't happening where you are, you can make a choice to get certified or to sponsor someone else to get certified to have this happening in your community.
I also have a certification level 1 online course I wrote, and it's through Tyler Burke's company. It's on my website.
Okay.
So it's it's 4 units. I wrote it. I think I wrote it 3 years ago.
But this
it's
is
4
on
units.
Autism Movement Therapy.
It's the same. It's a level 1
or
Autism Movement Therapy.org. .com will take you there too.
Okay.
But if you go to certifications, I think, or it's on the homepage, I also have continuing education units for those of you out there for, I think, speech and language, psych, home health care. There's a number of other.
Okay.
And it's a PDR.
Okay.
It's 2 continuing education units. I wrote that course as well. I've written a number of courses that are online for Autism Movement Therapy.
Okay, so you can definitely check all of those things out. Go to autismmovementtherapy.org, but the book is about to come out. And Kelby has a picture of the book that he can put up, and I know he was showing it before as well. But
those are all my kids on the cover.
There it is. So there's the book, and that's coming out at the end of October. And people can get this through Amazon.
They already can pre-order it on Amazon because we saw that. Jessica Kingsley already did that. And they can also order it on my website, pre-order with, and I'll autograph on autismmovementtherapy.org. Just go to the store. The store.
All right. This has been amazing to have you
It
here.
has. We
It's
had
been
a
thrilling.
long talk.
How many segments
long
does
talk.
it take to get to the bottom of Joanne? And really, we're not to the bottom. I know that there are more things that we could talk about. She is a never-ending. You're a plethora of information about autism and doing so many different things. So check out the many resources, main places that you want to go to: autismmovementtherapy.org, autismworksnow.org. Those are the 2 main places where you'll be able to find most of everything else that we talked about.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you. Thank you for all the great work that you're doing, and make sure that you check out those 2 films. Autism Awareness Film Festival this Sunday, September 3rd, 5 p.m., LA Live, Regal Theater. You can screen Generation A, Portraits of Autism in the Arts, and don't forget that a lot of the young people who are featured in these portraits are going to be there for the Q&A afterwards. If you're on the East Coast, make sure that you check out Red Door Festival.
Golden Door.
Golden Door. Red Door.
Golden Door.
I'm thinking about you dancing. It's Golden Door.
Golden Door International Film Festival.
Check that out because you have an opportunity to screen the film on the 25th at 6 p.m. And then you can go see Joanne speak on the 11th at 11 on the 27th.
That's right. Yeah.
No notes, so I'm
I know you did great.
Oh, I don't know about that. All right.
Positive behavior support. PBS.
We're gonna take a short break. I'm gonna be back to finish out the show, but thank you, Joanne, for being with us.
Thank you so much.
Take a look at this. mid-swing on this wonderful day, this wonderful walk with Mr. Matt Asner. Talk to us about today's walk. Do we have any facts, figures, numbers, or just pure emotion?
Just pure emotion. I'm about to get the numbers. We'll see what it is. Okay. I think it's probably close to 1.6, probably. That's my feeling. But it's incredible. We had 55,000 people plus here today, and you know, I honestly, I've been here 7 years. It gets better and better and better. So.
And really, what you fostered here today is hope. I know that's your favorite four-letter word.
Where are we without hope?
Where are we?
Really, I mean, seriously, where are we without hope? Hope is everything. Hope is eternal.
This is a pretty big event. Every year I love it. What does this event mean to you?
Well, I just think it's great that you see so many people coming out to support, autism.
So we're here with Max Burkholder. There's a whole community of people that are going to love you no matter what you do, no matter where you go, no matter what you do. And that's the autism community. Are you okay with this? Is this a good thing?
I'm pretty okay with it. This seems to be a pretty happy, supportive community.
Well, what did you learn about autism through portraying this wonderful character?
Sort of the individuality of it. You know, like with autism spectrum disorders, a tendency is to sort of generalize everybody with sort of the same degree of affliction as sort of exactly the same, and very generalize them a lot. But something I found while just talking to everybody, and that I tried to put into the characters, just the sense of individuality that all of them have, everybody has. And so at a certain point it became not really even portraying autism, it just sort of became portraying the character.
I want to thank you on behalf of everybody for what you do.
That's very sweet.
To bring awareness and to raise money. That's a tremendous, tremendous legacy. But as a dad, you've got other things that you're doing as well.
Yeah.
I want to know, as a family, if you have any advice, what's been something that's been helpful to you personally?
You know, get your autistic kids out in the community. I mean, my son's got a guide dog, so he goes to a lot of cool places. He surfs, he skis, does gymnastics. He's actually trying Hebrew school. I'm not quite sure if he knows what's happening there, but he does all kinds of cool things, and he has a lot of friends. Right now, most of his friends are the adults who take care of him, and over time, hopefully he'll have more friends who are his age, and you'll see him walking around, and people won't be nervous around him. The dog's been very helpful with that. It's like the dog is like the most infectious thing in the world. Like, everybody wants to be near the dog, and he sees that, and he gets some of that affection laid onto him. So as a family, you know, we're just there to support Tyler and make him happy.
Hi, I'm Shannon Penrod, and we're at the ABCs and XYZs of Special Needs Conference. And this year, for the first time, they've got something really remarkable. It's the Entrepreneurial Boutique. These are all items that have been made and are being sold by individuals who have special needs. So we're going to do a little shopping and talk to some of these fabulous entrepreneurs. Come on.
My name is Molly Rarick, and I'm founder of Breed's Gift. We're a nonprofit that serves teens and adults with special needs, like Chase here. We were founded in 2013 and serve people in the Conejo Valley, Santa Barbara, and LA.
Our main objective is to give our participants the skills they need to gain a more independent life.
My name is Shelley Cox, and Lisa Zalagi and I are founders of Creative Steps and Create Micro Business Enterprises. And the items that we're selling here today are all made by the clients who have passions about what they want to make, and then they get the profits from what they make, after we've paid all of the other expenses.
We are here today because my goal is to be independent, and also I would like to share all my artwork, and I would like to sell.
Thinking about at his young age being a businessman, it's amazing. I cannot be more proud.
Welcome back to Autism Live. It's been an incredible week here. We want to thank Joanne Lara again for being with us. We just have less than a minute, so I want to remind you that on Tuesday of next week, a couple of things, in fact. We have Dr. Linda Copeland with us, and if you want to be writing in questions for her over the weekend, I like to send her the questions on Monday. So remember that she is a board-certified behavior analyst and a developmental pediatrician. Send your questions in, and it's my birthday on Tuesday. So tune in on Tuesday, celebrate my birthday with me. I'm working all day long. We're out of time. Kelby says, we're done. Give your kiddos a hug from me and one from you as well. Bye-bye for now.